The village of Ironla had two things in abundance: roasted plantains and secrets. And both burned if left unattended. Nestled between rolling hills and thick, whispering forest, Ironla was the kind of place where people greeted you with smiles but watched you with side eyes. Everyone knew everyone, or at least, they thought they did. That was before Temi walked in. It was a Wednesday morning, the kind where the sun took its time rising and the roosters were too lazy to crow. Mama Ronk had just arranged her baskets of bitter leaf when she saw her. Temi. She wasn't from Ironla. That was clear. Her skin was the color of morning cocoa, her step slow and elegant like someone dancing to music only she could hear. She wore a plain wrapper and a faded blue blouse, but what caught everyone's eye was her golden walking stick, gleaming as if it had just been polished by the gods themselves. And then there was the hummingbird tattoo on her collarbone, fluttering its wings when sunlight touched it. Real wings. Real movement. But no one dared say it out loud. She walked into the heart of Ironla like she belonged there. Calm. Steady. Silent. And then she did something strange. "Good morning, Boba Toju," she said, nodding at the oldest man in the village. Boba Toju squinted. "How do you know my name?" She smiled. "Your knees ache more when it rains. You should stop sleeping without covering your legs." He blinked. So did the roasted corn seller. And the Akara woman. And the boys playing Ludo by the shed. "Good day, Adiz," she waved at the tailor's daughter. "Your baby sister will arrive safely." "Don't worry." Adiz gasped. Only her mother and the village nurse knew about the baby. She hadn't even begun to show yet. People stared. Whispers stirred like palm fronds in harmattan wind. Who is she? How does she know these things? She walks like she's been here before. By afternoon, Temi had already greeted nearly half the village, by name. She offered no explanation. She asked no questions. She just smiled softly, offered little advice that always made too much sense, and moved on like a gentle breeze before a thunderstorm. Mama Sod, the market's self-appointed chief gossip officer, was not amused. "She's either a prophet, a spy, or a madwoman," she said, munching roasted groundnuts like they were her enemies. "She's beautiful though," murmured Uncle Shola, the blacksmith, who hadn't noticed his own wife giving him a deadly side-eye. "She's strange," said Ao, the village barber. "But I like strange." By evening, the news had traveled faster than Papa Tolu's gossip radio. "The girl with the golden stick knows everything." Temi didn't stay at the guest house. She didn't rent a room. She simply moved into the old herbalist abandoned hut on the edge of the forest. Nobody dared go near that place, too many ghost stories and too many termites, but she walked in like it was a 5-star resort. She lit no lanterns. Yet the hut glowed from within at night. Faintly. Like fireflies had decided to move in and host a concert. Children dared each other to peek through the cracks in her window. Some said they saw her writing on the air with her finger, and the letters glowed gold. Others swore they heard whispers, soft voices that came from the walls. But no one had proof. Just goosebumps. The next day, Temi was back in the village. She stood by the stream, chatting with old Mama Ibon who had been mute for 3 years. To everyone's shock, Mama Ibon smiled. Then she spoke. "Thank you, child," she said, her voice rusty like an old drum, "for reminding me I still have a voice." Temi just nodded, and walked away, leaving people with dropped jaws and widened eyes. Later, at the village square, things truly reached boiling point. While watching the young boys play football, Temi turned to Busy, the baker's niece, and casually said, "Don't worry about your uncle's debts. The money is under the floorboard. 3rd plank, under the mortar." "What?" Busy shrieked, running home like a cheetah being chased by her mother's broom. 30 minutes later, she returned, holding a dust-covered bag of crumpled notes. Her uncle fainted. That night, nobody slept. Mama Sod gathered the elders under the mango tree. I'm telling you, this girl is not normal. What if she's a witch? Baba Ajanaku scratched his beard. She hasn't harmed anyone yet. She hasn't helped either, she snapped. She's just stirring people's lives like Oji with no sugar. The village priest suggested they ask her directly. The hunter proposed watching her in secret. The carpenter just wanted her to bless his lottery ticket. In the end, they agreed on watching. The next morning, Temi walked past the tailor shop and said, "Your daughter didn't run away. She's hiding at the church with Sister Tenny. She's scared of telling you she's pregnant." The tailor burst into tears. Temi hugged her, soft and warm like the morning sun. "You're strong enough to love her through it," she whispered. She left her there sobbing and smiling at the same time. By midday, children had started calling her Auntie Knowing. Some villagers called her Temi the Teller. A few had already added a spirit to her name in hushed tones. But Temi didn't seem to notice. She just moved through Aranla gently, like wine through the leaves. Saying little. Smiling much. When asked who she was, she simply replied, "I'm someone who listens more than most. And remembers more than she should." Nobody knew what that meant. But one thing was now clear. Temi knew everything about everyone. And yet, no one knew where she came from. No one knew her last name. No one knew why she was here. And most chilling of all, no one knew a single secret about Temi. The final whisper of that week came from Ayabos, the oldest woman in the village. She looked at Temi from afar and muttered to her cat, "That girl carries a mirror no one can see." The cat meowed in agreement. And somewhere in the forest, a hummingbird took flight. If there's one thing Aranla villagers loved more than fresh palm wine, it was secrets. Sweet, juicy, well-marinated secrets. Served hot with side eyes and swallowed with gulps of gossip. But ever since Temi arrived, secrets were no longer safe. They didn't stay tucked in pillows, hidden in diaries, or whispered behind hands. No, these days, secrets walked out in daylight, and Temi held the leash. Every morning she passed through the market with her golden walking stick and the same calm expression, as if nothing shocked her anymore. But now, people noticed something new. A small leather pouch tied to her waist with red thread. Simple in shape, but strangely elegant. It never left her side, not even when she bent to drink from the village stream or helped Mama Ronk lift a basket of yams. She touched it often, like it was precious or dangerous. Some said it was her lunch. Others whispered it contained juju. One child claimed he saw eyes blinking from inside it. Everyone had a theory. No one had proof. Except one boy, Daimeji. Daimeji was 16. The kind of teen who always carried a sling, a crooked smile, and way too much curiosity for someone trying to survive adolescence in Aranla. He was also known as the village ear. Not because he listened well, but because he was always somewhere he shouldn't be. One hot afternoon, while pretending to look for mangoes, Daimeji spotted Temi near the abandoned well, speaking softly to the pouch. No one else was around. The market was busy, the goats were napping, and the birds were arguing with themselves as usual. He crept closer. Sat behind the large rock. Held his breath. And then, he heard it. The pouch whispered. Actual words. Not in English. Not in Yoruba. But in a strange, crackling language that made the hairs on his neck do the shoku shoku. It was like bones grinding softly over fire, layered with wind and echo. Words layered on words, speaking in harmony and argument at the same time. Daimeji nearly sneezed in shock but held it in. Barely. Then he heard Temi respond, not with words, but with a hum. A deep, slow vibration that settled in the air like perfume. And just as suddenly as it began, she stood up and walked away, her golden stick tapping softly. The pouch was quiet again. That evening, Daimeji told his best friend Fatai, who told his cousin Yotund, who told her grandmother, who told her goat. Within hours, the whole village had heard. Temi's pouch is alive. The next day, Temi went to the market again. And this time, people moved aside. Like Moses parting the Red Sea, but with baskets of okra and buckets of crayfish. Temi didn't react. She simply bought some dried fish, nodded at the mango seller, and said, "Your goat didn't run away. It's at the back of the herbalist's hut. Check near the mango tree." The man blinked. "Oh, how do you?" "Left its chain when it chased a lizard. That's all," Temi said. And walked away. Sure enough, the goat was there. Snacking peacefully. No shame. No regrets. People clapped. Some laughed. One woman whispered, "This girl's better than Google." But things escalated quickly. 2 days later, during a naming ceremony, Temi sat quietly in the corner, eating puff-puff like everyone else. The chief of Iranla, Chief Baligan, stood proudly beside his wife and baby daughter, giving the ceremonial speech. "He shall be called Olewedemila, the light of our home, born of love and honor." People clapped. Drums played. And then, Temi looked up, straight at the chief's wife, and said gently, "She looks just like Mr. Adibeo, the cloth seller's brother." The drums stopped. So did hearts. You could have heard a mosquito land on soft fufu. The chief's wife's eyes widened. The cloth seller's brother dropped his cup. Temi returned to her puff-puff. Chief Balagan blinked. "What did you say?" Temi smiled. "She has his dimples. And the little mark on the left ear. It runs in his family, doesn't it?" Someone dropped their spoon. Another person whispered, "Yezu, this girl is a walking DNA test." Then all hell broke loose. By sunset, 3 chairs had been broken, a marriage was hanging by one spiritual thread, and 2 women were threatening to shave each other's heads with broken coconut shells. Temi. She had gone back to her hut. Calm. Unbothered. Probably sipping zobo. The village absolutely shook. The elders gathered again. This time, even the cat didn't show up. Too much drama. She's not just revealing secrets. She's pulling people's lives inside out. She knew about the goat. She knew about the pregnancy. She knew the paternity. She is dangerous. Baba Ajanako shook his head slowly. The pouch. It whispers. Maybe it's a book, or worse. What kind of book whispers back? Mama Sod hissed. A magic one, said Aya Nene, the oldest living midwife. Her voice carried weight. In the old days, they called it a whispering bone book. It listens to the spirits of the land, and speaks only to the chosen. The room went silent. Is she a prophet? Or a curse? No one knew. But one thing was certain, Temi was not ordinary. Back in her hut, Temi stood under the moonlight, holding the pouch gently. She untied the red thread. Inside was a book. Small. Bound in black leather with golden patterns. No pages, just thin sheets made from something that shimmered like bone. As she opened it, the whispering began again. Gentle. Urgent. She nodded. Then, with a finger that glowed briefly, she wrote something invisible onto the air, and smiled. At the same time, far away in the village square, Daimeji had snuck into the shadows again, clutching a slingshot. His heartbeat pounded like batter drums. He wasn't trying to attack her. No, no. He just wanted to know what that book was. He had made a decision. He was going to see it. Touch it. Understand it. He didn't care if it whispered, chanted, or sneezed. Because one thing was clear, Temi knew too much, and maybe, just maybe, someone needed to know something about her. Some rains fall with thunder. Some fall with lightning. But the rain that visited Ironla one fateful night fell without a sound. It began just after midnight. The moon hung low, swollen and yellow, like a ripe pawpaw nobody dared touch. The crickets had gone silent. The dogs lay quiet. Even the village's loudest snorer, Bobataju, slept peacefully as if lulled by some invisible lullaby. And then it came. A rain like no other. No droplets. No pitter-patter. No splash in puddles. Just a thin, ghostly mist that rolled in from the edges of the forest, swallowing the village like slow breath. It soaked nothing. It made no sound. Yet somehow, every leaf, every tree, every blade of grass began to glow, faintly, like embers under a sleeping fire. At the heart of the village, by the old well, Temi sat cross-legged on the ground. Her golden walking stick lay beside her. Her pouch rested gently on her lap. And her eyes were closed. She didn't move. Didn't blink. Just whispered names. One after the other. Boba Colored. Yotan Aleba. Chief Baligan. Sod Adepoju. Each name was spoken like a breeze, but carried weight. Spiritual weight. And as she whispered, the trees seemed to bend toward her. The air shimmered. And somewhere deep in the village, people began to talk. Mama Titi, the bread seller, sat up from bed and murmured, "I stole from the offering bowl 5 years ago." Kola, the carpenter, woke suddenly and whispered to the darkness, "I'm not the real father of my son." Even Ayabos, nearly blind, sat on her mat, clutching her wrapper. "I once lied to the whole village. That spirit I saw. It was just a chicken in a white cloth." Confessions drifted through the air like invisible fireflies. Not shouted. Not cried. Just whispered truths, finally free. Meanwhile, at the edge of the village, Daimeji couldn't sleep. He kept staring out the window, watching the glowing plants sway gently under the invisible rain. His chest felt tight. Like something was pushing against it, not fear, but urgency. He grabbed his slingshot, because even heroes need accessories, and tiptoed into his grandmother's room. "Aya Nene," he whispered, "something is happening." "Temi, it's her again." His grandmother sat up without hesitation. "Bring my wrapper." "The red one," she said calmly. "And my calabash of cowries. We are going to the shrine." Together, they made their way through the glowing village. Everything looked like a dream dipped in moonlight. When they arrived at the Shrine of Stories, an old tree stump said to house the spirit of Ironla's first storyteller, Ayaneni knelt and placed her cowries in a tight circle. She began to chant. Softly. Slowly. The wind picked up. The tree roots paused faintly. And then the cowries flipped, one by one, landing in a strange pattern. Ayanene's eyes narrowed. She whispered. "Mirabera." "What's that?" Daimeji asked. She took a long, shaky breath. "Long ago, in the time before time," she said, "there was a woman gifted with a mirror made from the first water that ever touched the earth. It could see into anyone, past their smiles, past their lies, past their flesh. This woman used it recklessly. She spread truth without wisdom. She destroyed families. Stirred wars." Daimeji blinked. "Sounds familiar." Ayanene nodded grimly. "One day, she revealed the secret of a cursed prophet. He punished her. He made her immortal, not with power, but with burden. He bound the mirror to her soul and caused her to carry the secrets of others, forever. Daimeji gulped. So, she's Temi. Aya Nene looked up at the sky, glowing faintly. Not exactly. Temi is the latest. The mirror-bearer spirit is passed from one vessel to the next, each one doomed to live among people, hear their truths, and be weighed down by them, unless someone volunteers to carry her secret. Wait, what's her secret? That's the thing, Aya Nene whispered. No one knows. Because to carry her burden, you must first be willing to know her pain. Truly. Fully. And that is not easy. As they spoke, Temi remained seated in the center of the village, glowing slightly now. But something had changed. Her body began to tremble. Her fingers twitched. Her lips still whispered names, but they sounded weaker, more distant, like echoes fading into fog. The next morning, the rain had vanished, but its memory lingered. The plants still glowed. The air still shimmered faintly. And the people were changed. Some looked lighter. Others looked ashamed. Many avoided each other's eyes. The market was quiet. No gossip. No shouting. Even Mama Sot sat still, chewing slowly on dry chin-chin, staring at the sky like she'd lost a bet with the thunder god. But Temi didn't come to the market. For the first time since her arrival. She stayed in her hut. Daimeji couldn't take it anymore. He ran to her hut. Banged on the door. Temi. Temi, open. Please. No answer. He peeked through a crack. She was there. Sitting on the floor. Pale. Tired. Her hummingbird tattoo barely moved. The golden stick lay by her side. The pouch, slightly open. Her eyes finally opened. They locked with Daimeji's. And for the first time, she looked afraid. Too many truths, she whispered, her voice raspy. They are too loud. They have weight. I can't carry them anymore. Daimeji stepped in. Then let me help. No, she said quickly. You don't want this. You want to know me. But knowing me is the price. Daimeji stood still. I'll pay it, he said. Tell me. She reached for her pouch with shaking fingers and pulled out the book. This time, it didn't whisper. Instead, it shone. A mirror formed on its surface, smooth, black, glassy. No reflection. Temi nodded slowly. If you want to help, then tomorrow, meet me at the talking tree. Bring no fear. Bring no lies. Come only if you're ready to carry my truth. Then she fainted. If secrets were palm kernels, Ironla had been cracking them non-stop. Since the night of the silent rain, the village hadn't known peace. Truths, raw, ugly, beautiful, shameful, spilled from lips like floodwater from a broken dam. It didn't matter whether you were a chief, a butcher, or a barefoot toddler, if Temi had whispered your name under the strange moonlight, your truth was already on its way out. In just 3 days, 5 marriages ended. 2 engagements dissolved faster than hot salt in stew. The village choirmaster was caught sleeping in the church storehouse, with the deacon's shoes. Mama Rong's miracle slimming tea was exposed as ordinary green leaves and agbo. And the town herbalist admitted, tearfully, that he couldn't actually speak to lizards. Even Baba Toju, the village elder, confessed. That mysterious footstep sound at night wasn't a spirit, it was just my snoring. The village square was no longer a place of laughter. People walked in silence, avoiding eye contact like it might trigger another revelation. Kids played quieter. The market sold more bitter leaf than ever, as if the whole town was trying to cleanse its system, body and soul. Temi, meanwhile, had changed. The once graceful woman with a hummingbird tattoo now walked slower, leaned more heavily on a golden stick, and barely spoke. The glow had dimmed from her skin. Her voice, once smooth and coming like river water, now sounded like dried corn rattling in a calabash. She still wore her pouch, but clutched it tighter. Protectively. Like a mother shielding her child from war. And then came Daimeji. Every day, the teenager who used to steal mangoes and poke anthills with sticks now followed her like a loyal shadow. "Let me help," he said gently. "Let me see what's inside that pouch." Temi only shook her head. "My pouch holds more than pages. It holds what people hide from themselves." "You think you're ready? But carrying me means you must first carry you." Daimeji frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means," she whispered, "if someone dares to know me, really know me, the burden will break. Or be shared." Then she walked away, leaving him with a head full of riddles and a heart full of questions. The next morning, someone else tried. His name was Toby, a quiet boy with wild curly hair and a smile that made village girls trip over their own wrappers. "I'll do it," he said suddenly, stepping forward in front of the crowd gathered near the shrine. "I want to help." Temi looked up, barely able to keep her balance. "You're brave. But are you honest?" Toby nodded. Temi slowly untied her pouch and lifted the bone glass book. "Then speak your deepest truth," she said. I once watched my brother drown. I could have saved him, but I froze. I was afraid." A gasp rippled through the villagers. Even the wind paused. Temi's eyes flickered, but she nodded. "Step forward." Toby reached out and placed a hand on the glowing book. And then, bam! He flew backward like a dry leaf in a storm, hitting the ground with a heavy thud. The crowd screamed. His body lay still. His eyes stared wide open, not with pain, but clarity. "I saw her," he whispered, "but not her name." That night, Daimeji sat with Aya Nene, his grandmother, staring at the embers in her fire pit. "She's fading," he said. "She needs someone to know her. To name her." Aya Nene sipped her herbal tea thoughtfully. "There's power in a name," she murmured. "True names hold truth, history, purpose. That's why spirits guard theirs." She stared into the fire and said, almost to herself, "Long ago, we had a tale of a girl who carried stories on her skin. They called her Aduni, the one who deserves to be cherished. But that was a title, not her name." Daimeji leaned forward. "Where would her name be now?" Aya Nene's eyes glinted. "If anywhere, at the talking tree." Now, the talking tree wasn't just a tree. It was ancient, with bark as thick as crocodile hide and roots that stretched like the veins of the earth. It stood alone on the hill just outside Iranla, whispering to the wind in a language no one could ever quite translate. It was said that if you spoke with truth in your chest and pain in your heart, the tree might whisper back. The next morning, as the village held its breath, Daimeji and Aya Nene climbed the hill. They brought no goats, no offerings. Just a folded cloth, a carved whistle, and a piece of mirror Toby had found near Temi's hut. When they reached the tree, Daimeji stepped forward. He touched the bark. "I seek the name of the one who holds the mirror of bones. The one who carries our truth." Nothing happened. The wind howled. Leaves rustled. Daimeji tried again. "Please. I want to help her. She is more than secrets. She is someone." Still, silence. Then, Aya Nene placed a palm on the bark, closed her eyes, and whispered a song. Not a song of worship. Not a prayer. But a lullaby, old and cracked with age. And the tree shuddered. Its branches bent toward them. The wind stilled. Then, a single leaf floated down. Golden. Glowing faintly. Etched on it was a single word. Ariti. Daimeji's heart skipped. That's her name. Aya Nene nodded, tears in her eyes. Iriti. It means hope. Back in the village, Temi collapsed near the stream. Her body weak. Her skin pale. Her tattoo flickering like a candle in the rain. Villagers gathered, unsure what to do. Then Daimeji ran in, clutching the glowing leaf. He dropped to his knees beside her and whispered. I know your name. Iriti. You are Iriti. The moment the word left his lips, the air rippled. The book in her pouch began to hum. The golden stick paused. The tattoo glowed brightly, its hummingbird wings fluttering rapidly. Temi opened her eyes. For the first time, she smiled. The moon had vanished. Not behind clouds. Not into shadow. It had disappeared. The people of Ironla gathered under the night sky, silent and barefoot, their hearts full of questions and their eyes turned upward. It was the night of the lunar eclipse. But no one talked about the moon. All eyes were on the figure walking slowly toward the talking tree on the hill. Temi, no, Iriti, no, something more. She wore white. Not a loud white, not the kind for weddings or Sunday choir. It was the soft white of surrender. Her once radiant skin was dimmer now, but her steps were sure. Her golden stick tapped gently as she climbed. Her pouch hung loose at her side, like it, too, had grown tired. Behind her followed Daimeji, steady and silent. Then came Ayanene, eyes fixed, cowries around her neck clinking with each step. And then the villagers, curious, cautious, ashamed, redeemed. Some had covered their faces. Some had brought drums. Some just clutched their loved ones and whispered prayers. The talking tree stood waiting. Old, wise, and glowing faintly under the red-tinted sky. Temi stopped at its base. She didn't speak. She just raised her face to the heavens and closed her eyes. The ground vibrated, softly at first. A hum beneath their feet. The bark of the tree shimmered. The wind gathered, circling them like an invisible chorus. And then Daimeji stepped forward. He turned to her, his voice shaking. You said if someone dares to know you, the burden will break or be shared. Temi nodded faintly. You whispered a name in your sleep, he continued. Not Iriti. Another one. I didn't understand it then, but I do now. He looked up at the red sky and whispered. I laid. The ground shook. Not violently. Not with chaos. But with awakening. Temi gasped. Her body lifted an inch off the ground. Her pouch burst open, not with noise, but with light. Blinding, soft, ancient. From it rose the mirror. Smooth. Black. Silent. Shaped like an eye. Floating above the earth like a breath held too long. And then it turned, slowly, facing the crowd. And the villagers saw themselves. Not as they appeared. Not as they pretended. They saw themselves as they truly were. Baba Taju saw the little boy inside him, still ashamed of running from his father's cane. Adi saw the secret sorrow of wishing she'd been born a son. Mama Rank saw her jealousy, shaped like her sister's necklace, still stuck in her heart. Daimeji saw fear. And courage. Entwined like two vines, one pulling, the other lifting. Even Ayanene, proud and wise, saw her younger self still crying under the baobab tree the night her lover left her with nothing but a name and a child. No one spoke. No one moved. The mirror did not judge. It only showed. Every crack. Every scar. Every truth. Both beautiful and broken. Temi hovered in the middle of it all. Her eyes glowing faintly. Her voice faint but steady. The truth doesn't destroy. It cleanses. It strips, yes. But it also heals. She turned toward Daimeji and smiled. And then, she fell. The mirror faded. Dissolved into air like mist in morning light. The pouch crumbled to dust. The golden stick shattered softly into petals. Daimeji caught her gently, laying her against the roots of the talking tree. "Are you free?" he asked, voice trembling. Temi looked up at him, her eyes lighter than they had ever been. "I was never meant to carry them all," she whispered. "You gave me back my name. You saw me. That is enough." Her body relaxed. The tattoo of the hummingbird fluttered one last time and vanished. And with it, so did the weight. The village of Ironla stood still for a long moment. And then, slowly, people began to cry. Not the kind of crying that breaks things, but the kind that washes. The kind that empties and fills at the same time. Husbands turned to wives with open hands. Mothers hugged children they hadn't looked at properly in years. Strangers embraced, no longer needing masks made of smiles. When morning came, the sun rose brighter than ever. Temi was gone. Not gone like vanished into smoke. Gone like someone who had finished what she came to do and simply walked away. Some say they saw her walking into the forest, her footprints leaving golden leaves behind. Some say she flew. Others say she simply became part of the wind. Ironla changed after that. Not overnight. But gradually. Fewer lies. More honesty. Fewer secrets hoarded like stolen stew. More truths shared like evening fires. The market laughed again, but this time, not at people, with them. Gossip still lived, but now wore a softer face, and sometimes ended in apologies. Daimeji became a storyteller. Not the gossiping kind, but the keeper of truths kind. He didn't expose people. He helped them tell their own stories. And in the center of his heart sat a small mirror, smooth, black, quiet. But it never showed reflections. It only listened. And so, the tale of Temi. Iriti. Aled. The girl who carried everyone's secrets but hid her own, was told for generations. Not as a warning, but as a reminder. Truth may be heavy, but hiding it is heavier. Books. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Would you carry someone else's truth? Turn on notifications so you never miss the next magical folktale from the heart of Africa globe, showing Europe Africa sparkles.